There he goes again.
Yeah, baby!
My little buddy here is exceedingly excited because he just switched to Central Pacific Bank.
It's epic!
Without CPB, I wouldn't have a leg to stand on.
All the places we can go.
The Hawaiian community, there are many of us that don't feel like they're part of the community. If you didn't get your Hawaiian studies degree, or if you're not in a halau, or you're not hoiva'a, right? You're not doing canoe paddling or something,
Totally.
then you fully feel like you're not in the Hawaiian community. And some people don't even feel like they're really Hawaiian because they don't necessarily connect it to any practices. The moon is a good gateway.
Aloha guys, I'm Kolby and welcome back to Uncut Hawaii. And today's guest I'm really excited about. This is Hiʻilani Shibata is an educator, mom, and mahina or moon practitioner. Born and raised in Hilo, whoop whoop. She graduated from the University of Hawaiʻi at Mānoa with a degree in Olelo, Hawaii. Today, she is a cultural trainer and consultant and co-founder of Ka Mahina Project, where she teaches about how ancestral knowledge of the moon can help us guide us in this present day. Thank you for joining.
Yeah, aloha.
I'm so excited. This is our first recording of the year. So I'm like, I want to do something like really cool. And I always watch your stuff on Instagram. I've met you and I'm like, I need to have Hi'i on. It's the best way to start the year.
Definitely.
So happy New Year. How's your New Year going?
Oh, it's going great. Great,
Awesome.
great. Because we actually started the new year going up onto Mauna Kea.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, so Ka Mahina Project has been working, just started working with Gemini Telescope. And what we're really looking at is how can we safely and culturally appropriately bring people to the Mauna and really teach them, share with them why it's so special, but also talk to them about the Gemini telescope, which is actually to me the best telescope on the mountain, and it's working well, and we don't need any other telescopes. We can just look at that one, and the interesting thing about it though is that they actually don't even they're not up on the Mauna at night at all.
Really?
And the astronomers actually don't even go up there hardly. They all do everything in Hilo. And so I thought that was really interesting that the instrument, it's kind of respectful that people are actually not on the Vauakua, in that sacred space in the evening.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. So you went up just to go check it out?
Yes, and what we're working on is how do we culturally appropriate. And maybe one day we're hoping to see if we can actually do some moon gazing.
That would be awesome.
Right, because the moon is not only up in the sky in the evening, right? So it depends on what moon it is. It's a lot of times up during the day too. So
That's so cool. Okay, I need to get into all the moon things with you. So I am a very beginner. I don't know, I'm very interested in learning about the moon and how our kupuna view the moon. But I'm very beginner. So I want you to take me back to how does, learning about the moon and the phases, how does that impact us on a day-to-day in this modern age?
So most of indigenous people around the world are lunar followers. Yeah, they follow the mahina, the moon, and they all have their own ways of how they follow each phase. And they're very similar, though, when you get down to it, right?
Okay.
They're very similar because we're all humans. So I'm focusing on the Native Hawaiian one because I'm Native Hawaiian, but also I started to look at Japanese because I'm Japanese as well.
Oh, interesting.
But the Native Hawaiian one, what happened is we have a lot of knowledge that has been left for us that is about fishing, about farming, the cycles with nature and everything. And one of the other things they did was they did our emotional and spiritual also by the moon phases. And that is what really inspired me.
Okay.
Because we live in a different society today. And yes, there's still fishermen, there's still farmers, there's all different practitioners. But how can we utilize our kupuna ike and apply it for today? And that is what has been so amazing, is being able to have people connect to the moon phases and really look and observe what is happening to them in that moon phase today.
So interesting. Yeah, because I mean, people talk about it, even people who don't know about Mahina, the phases and what it all means. They'll be like, oh, it's a full moon. There's going to be all kinds of crazy stuff happening right now. Or like, oh, it's a new moon. So we got to, like purge and all that stuff. And so, I mean, everybody around us, they realize that there is power in the moon, but to be studying it through like a Native Hawaiian lens is really interesting.
Yeah, and just to really, where it really started was my co-founder. Her name is Talia Cardenas, and she lives on the island of Molokai, Molokai Nui Hina. And she and I, when we met, we talked about, she worked with a population that is underrepresented and all that kind of stuff in a program that we thought that applying this knowledge to them, these women in transition, would help us understand more about it. And that's what happened. We started to share the knowledge with these women, and they would then share back. They would take notes about how the Mahina was affecting them in the day. And they had so much amazing things that happened to them just following the Mahina. And then we corresponded it to our kupuna ike, and we've just been collecting data from all kinds of people. So when we really launched Ka Mahina Project as the project, we already had 3 years of data that we had collected.
Wow.
And so
what year was this that you guys started it?
In 2020 with the pandemic
awesome.
at the
Good time.
shutdown. Yes, and we actually started it before the shutdown time, but it was during the shutdown that we were able to participate in the last Purple Prize Accelerator program with Purple Nice. And then we won, which was kind of cool. But what was cool was that we were able to then take 200 focus. We enlisted 200 people in these focus groups, and we collected even more data, which was so interesting because then we added in men. We even had 2 people that had been going through cancer treatments, and for them, following the Mahina allowed them to understand or control their pain from the treatments. And so it started to get really interesting once we started to add in all kinds of different people.
Okay.
And it's been really cool because it does help people, and the cool thing about following the Mahina, because the moon is kind of like cyclic, right? So sometimes you're just not gonna follow them. You know what I mean? Because you're busy or whatever. But you can go back onto the cycle. It's okay. You know what I mean? You can go off and you can go on.
Yeah.
But as you get your relationship with the Mahina, it just almost gives you permission to be your authentic self. That's really what happened.
I love that.
Yeah.
I'm curious what your original, where it came from, where your original interest came from. Before even starting Ka Mahina Project, were you did you grow up hearing about the moon phases, or did you learn from somebody?
So interesting enough, I worked at the Bishop Museum from the year 2000 to 2014, and I had the most amazing experience working in education there. And one of the things that I had to do was become Hina Hanai Kamalama, or the Hina of the moon that lives in the moon. And when I was preparing to be on this tour with Native Americans and Alaska Natives, we were telling our moon stories. I had to learn even deeper what that meant, because I'm going to play this goddess as this play. And as I started to learn, I talked to different people. And one of the elders that I talked to said to me, once you become Hina Hanai Kamalama, you will always be Hina.
Wow.
And I was like, what? What does that mean? And it's rung true that since then, it's like a kuleana that, it's part of my life. And it took on different forms, and then now it's in this form. And so for Ka Mahina Project, Talia and I always feel that we are Hina-led. That the Mahina pulls us because it has that ume. That's why we feel it, because she has this ume, and it's a push and pull kind of thing. It's kind of like when you go to the club and you do that come hither look. That's the ume.
I love it. So you're constantly being pushed and pulled in different directions throughout the phases?
Oh, yes. And when you feel something and then you go, oh, what is the moon phase? Maybe something not so good happens and you're like, oh, dang it, it's an ole moon. Of course it would have been during this moon. You know, I kind of push hard because there's no, ole is when it's a half moon. And so that was the time when you take a break because there's no help from the mahina. So why are you going to do anything?
So ole is half moon.
Yeah.
I always thought that it was like no moon or like the end or like you can't see the moon.
Oh no, that's muku, which is actually Thursday.
Okay.
Well, I know we're recording in a different time and you're gonna play at a different time, but we're actually on the mahina o mauli, which is not always observed in the cycle.
Okay.
Because there's 30 moon phases, but 28.5, nights.
Yeah. So this one gets.
So sometimes mauli doesn't even get talked about or doesn't even get honored, but it's a perfect one for us to have this conversation because it's about partnerships. It's about conversating with people that you want to be with, and this is like the seat of your soul. So
that's a special one.
It's a special one. And then tomorrow for us, it would be Thursday, would be muku. And muku is no moon, what people call the new moon in English. But for us, muku means to sever because it's the last moon. So it's pau, right? Everything is cut. So that's actually the moon that you release things. If people who are going through some major transitions, what they do is they intentfully muku, they intentfully sever whatever needs to be severed. Because then the next mahina, Hilo, which is going to be Friday this week, is a time to braid in. Like Hilo is to braid, or twist, like the tea leaf lei. And it's also the name of where we're from, right? Or where I'm from, Hilo. And so you Hilo in, you braid in what you need for the next lunar cycle.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
And it's the first of the year, so that's
special.
It's special.
Yes, yeah. So I've been working individually with some people. And so like we did the last muku before the Gregorian calendar year ended. We did that muku and they did Hilo, and I said, this muku, we got to do it again because we are people. And even if we say, okay, we're going to cut this off, it's hard for us, and so I said, no, we're going to do it again so that you can reflect and see, okay, it's still there. Whatever you need to, oki or muku, you need to do it again. So, yeah, and that's what I love about the mahina cycle is that there's always an ending and there's always a beginning.
I love that.
And so it's really forgiving, because, okay, we can go again, but okay, well, it maybe never works, so we can try again.
Yeah.
I like that.
Do you have a favorite moon?
No, and there are no bad moons.
There are no bad moons. That's good. That was going to be my next question. Which one do we not want to be in?
There are certain moons, though, that we are maka'ala. We are very aware of, though, because there are things that happen in that moon that aren't the best.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's talk about those ones.
So actually, there are 4 full moons. That's what I love about our indigenous cultures.
Yeah.
There's never just one. It's not black and white. That's never a way, right? So there are 4 full moons.
Oh, cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Okay.
and so it's Akua, Hoku, Hiʻilani, and Kulu. And most times, the Gregorian calendar full moon is usually on Hiʻilani,
Okay.
but sometimes it's on Hoku. For me, personally, I consider Hoku the fullest of the moons. Because that's when usually when you're looking at percentage illumination, it's 100% illumination.
Oh, wow.
Is the Hoku moon.
Okay.
And the Hoku moon, you can usually tell because the moon rises almost at the same time that the sun sets.
Oh,
So there's
interesting.
no real darkness.
Oh,
And then
interesting.
it sets as the sun is rising the next morning.
Oh, okay.
So you have no darkness, like it's a thing. Then Hiʻilani usually rises around between 7:30 and 8:30 at night. So you have a little bit of darkness depending on the time of year.
Okay.
But anyway, so those are those moons. So you can kind of think. So Akua before Hoku is an amazing moon. Like that's a full moon that people usually are like, wow. Like, because it's rising.
Big and bright.
Yeah, because it's rising, but it looks like it's on fire a little bit.
Oh, I've definitely seen that moon.
Because the sun is still up.
Okay.
But the moon is rising. And it's this. So that one is when our ancestors are super close.
Oh, that just gave me like chicken skin all over.
Yeah. That one is a beautiful moon because it reminds us that our ancestors are always there. Always there, no matter who you are, And then the one after Hiʻilani, and that one is called Kulu. And that's the one that I always put out please make sure you check in with people you haven't talked to in a while, because it means to fall. It means to drip and drop. It means
That doesn't sound good.
So for example, hale builders, people who build hale would never ever do anything on kulu.
Okay.
Because whatever you build is gonna fall.
Interesting.
So,
and that's the 4th full moon?
but that's the one that looks like it's already waning, it's decreasing in size.
Okay.
So that's part of it, is like your body went from this high energy from the fulls, now it's shifting. So when the shift happens, in the illumination, the shift happens in our bodies, happens around us. So things become kind of unstable.
I was going to say, that's when all the crazy stuff happens.
It's interesting, yeah. So that's why, I mean, a lot of people are like, I thought it was full moon last night. It looks still full, right?
Yeah.
Because Hawaiians say, look, because with your naked eye, it looks like 4 full moons.
Wow. I have girlfriends that work in like at the hospital in like the emergency room, and they're like, something about the moon, because there's like, it's not just bad things happening, like lots of people coming in, but they're like crazy things, like crazy things happen.
Right, because it's the effect, right? Because think about it, right? You're like, the whole time there's no real darkness. So the whole time your water in your body is activated from not only from the sun in the day, and now you got the moon at night. You're just like in this, some people just get super crazy. A lot of people cannot sleep usually.
I am one of them.
Right.
And also we have like a little, what do you call those things, and like in the roof. So the moon is like shining into my room, and I'm like, but I just don't feel tired. I'm like, I have so much energy. I'm like, I could just get up and just start working right now. It's like 1:00 at night.
Right, because we're 85% water, and that's what the illumination of the sun and the moon activates. So we're activated. We're like activated water, right? So that's why people have a hard time sleeping. I have a hard time sleeping. You know what's really interesting is if you plan like good, like if you have to get like an operation or something, it's good during those moons too.
Oh, okay.
Because think about it, right? Your doctor is gonna be up.
No, that's true. Both of my daughters came in the middle of the night, so we'll see. Maybe it was a moon that they were born on.
Yeah. So actually, Ka Mahina Project.com/calculator is where you can go to get your calculation of the moon you were born under, maybe when you got married or like graduated or you started your business.
Is it only past, or does it do future too?
It does do future too.
Okay, so you can plan your wedding based on that moon calendar.
Yes.
Oh, that's
Isn't that so cool? Yeah, so you can do all kinds of stuff and everything. So it's really fun when people find out what their moon phase is. You want to do it real quick?
Well, tell me what your moon phase is that you were born on.
I'm Kulua.
Okay, what does
which
that mean?
is we start Hilo, Hoaka, Kukahi, Kulua. So it's the 4th moon. It's a crescent. It's a pretty crescent. It's a sexy crescent.
Fitting.
And so just like the word ku means to rise, to stand up, right? And so the cool moons are when you're supposed to like seed, start things, do like short-term planning. If you want to go ask your boss for a raise, that's when you do it.
Okay.
You know, like when you got to go for it, you know, that's the moons you do it. And the funny part about it is I just talked to someone who's kulua too. When I was talking with him about that moon, I said, "Oh, you have a lot of sexual energy." And
Okay, and then he finds out that you're that too. Like, whoa, we're like fire right now.
Right, it's like fire. So that ku is like just that. And the other fun part is I have a friend who does the Koholepelepe hike. You know, the cocoa head hike, the crazy hike.
Gabe does that.
And when he does it on the ku moons, he does it faster. Because think about, the moon is pulling on you, right?
Oh, that's
so if you
true.
want to hike, you want to do things that you're like, you know, athletically needs to like go up. That's the moons you do things on.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, for all you hikers out there, or whatever, if you're scaling rocks, maybe. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Right.
And do you relate to your moon? I mean, that totally sounds like you.
Oh, totally. Yeah. Because cool moon people are very. We're just like, we just go. Yeah. We just are kind of a little bit headstrong. Right. We're not scared easily from just taking chances and like starting things and doing things. And I've kind of been like that all my life. And so I'm like, oh, it makes sense. I'm a cool moon baby.
I love it. Okay. Can you look up my moon? What do you need
really
for
quick.
that?
Well, here, you're going to just do it. So you
Okay.
just have to put it in, and it's actually easier on the phone. So if you're going to do the calculator, it's actually much better to do it on the phone, just easier. And then you have to kind of know the time, but if you don't, then I always tell people to just do 12 noon.
I do know.
Yeah. Or just around the time. It doesn't have to be exact. It just depends on your moon. I can kind of tell you if it might be between two moons. Okay, what did you get?
Well, you don't need to do location.
No.
Okay. Okay. Your Mahina phase is La'au Pau.
Oh, so you're a healer. That kind of makes
Ooh.
sense. Yeah.
I like
so
that.
So the La'au moons are after the full moons.
Okay.
And they are a time when you look at healing, like self-care. You
All about self-care.
you collect, the moons are more morning moons, like you see them in the morning. So you
Okay.
go collect your plant medicines. You intentfully do things that are la'au, right?
Okay.
With green things. There's an olelo no eao actually that says if you are a la'au moon baby, that your bones are super strong.
Ooh, strong bones. Yes.
Right. Yeah. So la'au people are very into healing. They usually can help their friends and family in those kind of like stressful times and problems. People come to you to seek the healing, even if they don't realize it.
That is so interesting because one, I've always been very attracted to La'au Lapa'au, and I've never really studied it, but like even like oils and plant medicine, like I think it's so interesting, and one day we'll learn more about it. But also my papa's dad, so this would be my great grandpa. He was full Hawaiian, and he was known as a healer.
Oh, see?
But also from our family, also that he could also do the opposite. So like from what I hear from Kupuna, it's like if you know how to use plant medicine and spells and whatever to heal, you would also know how to put spells on people or to like make people sick.
Right.
And so there is that. I don't know. I've never met him, and I don't know a lot of people who really had conversations with him because they've all passed. But I'm like, that's just like the story that gets told. And so people mostly focus on like the dark part of it. But then I'm like, let's focus on the healing part of it because hopefully he used it for good too. But I've always just been interested. Like I'm excited because I have a family reunion coming up. I'm excited to talk to some aunties and uncles about like what they've heard about him.
Oh, see? That's so interesting. That's your link there. Yeah. And that makes sense. So
Yeah.
that's fascinating, right? Like these phases, like you would never think, right? Like, wow, that really resonates in my mo'oku auhau. I mean, and that's usually what happens. It's kind of neat, in a different way from the modern day astrology and stuff like that. It's really ohana centric almost and like really in your roots.
Yeah. Oh, I love it.
So one of the things that is going to come up, and I'm just trying to find the right venue right now in Honolulu, is to do a Mahina phase matchup kind of activity with people because
People would go crazy over that for sure.
Part of it, right, is that, so for example, like, because we work a lot with Purple Foundation, like they know everybody that works for them, they know their moon phase. And like it helps them work together. And so I've been talking with friends about like, oh, we should do a matchup because it seems like we should, but partly it's so that people can even more get educated, right?
Yeah.
About the specific moon phases, and like, it doesn't even have to be a romantic connection, right? It could just be your friends or your family or your coworkers.
That's so
and
interesting,
It'll
yeah.
help people just with their pilina, with their relationships.
Yeah, because you might have somebody who's so like intuitive or healer, and then that might pair well with another person, and like how awesome to get that synergy, like that kind of working relationships in the same organization or whatever.
Yeah, because
That's
your
really cool.
understanding of the other
Right.
person
Yeah.
is what happened.
And even
right?
just understanding of yourself.
Yes.
And I think that's why people love like astrology and that kind of thing. It's like everybody's like trying to understand themselves and why they feel a certain way or do certain things, and like then you almost feel like, okay, it's not in my head. Like this is something more, something bigger. Like this healing part of me is coming from something bigger, it's coming from the moon. So,
and there are actually many nonprofits that do things according to the Mahina calendar.
Oh, okay.
And so as businesses, especially if you have a small business, you can do things according to the moon, and it feels much more easy. It's much more flow.
Yeah.
And that's really one of the benefits of learning about the Mahina phases.
Oh, okay.
And it becomes a topic of conversation with people that is really safe. And because part of it is like Hawaiian community, there are many of us that don't feel like they're part of the community. If you didn't get your Hawaiian studies degree, or if you're not in a halau, or you're not hoiva'a, right? You're not doing canoe paddling or something,
Totally.
then you fully feel like you're not in the Hawaiian community. And some people don't even feel like they're really Hawaiian because they don't necessarily connect it to any practices. The moon is a good gateway into learning more about your Hawaiian culture.
Oh.
And that has been the most, for me personally, powerful thing, because it allows for our Hawaiians that don't, just never got into whatever, to start to learn about themselves as their culture by the moon. It's super safe, super like loving, and yeah.
Oh, I love that. And that you're able to do that, not just, you're able to do it virtually, or even like using your Instagram so that people, even outside of Hawaii, can learn and be connected.
Yep. And what has happened too is that as people who are not in Hawaii or not Hawaiian, they start to like connect to the Mahina, and then their family starts to open up about their family things.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, because this native Singaporean guy, he actually helped. He's a designer, UX designer that actually designed our logo, helped design our logo, and he was so excited about working on our project to do this logo, and it was a school assignment. It was really cool, like how we got our logo. And so he was like, one day he's like on WhatsApp, he's like, Hiʻilani, can I talk to you? I need to talk to you. And I was like, okay. And then he was like, I can't believe it. He goes, I was sharing with my father, and he's in Singapore, right? And he's like, I was sharing with my father about what I'm doing with Ka Mahina Project, and he's like, oh, now it's time. And he brings out this binder and gives his son all of their information, their family information about the moon.
No way.
Yeah, and he said, I didn't even know we had that. And
Wow.
And so that's also what happens, is like learning about the moon in our Hawaiian culture is now connecting people to their cultural things.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I wonder how, you studied like Japanese moon. How is that similar and different from what you
there's
studied?
so much similarities.
Oh, really?
Like the lunar calendar following, because it's not nature-based, it's because it's really based on kilo, observations and feeling from your na'o, right? Rather than just a science kind of stuff, right? There's so much. So like Japanese culture, they didn't plan like a celebration or anything without consulting the moon calendar first. Like that kind of stuff. I haven't gotten to see if they did anything with birth with the moon, but pretty much that kind of stuff. And then they would like look at the moon for their planting, of course, their fishing, because they're also an island, right? So it's all those similarities. It's really awesome,
That is.
And it's really at many times it becomes very nature based. So you also got to see like where are they on the earth, right?
Yeah, if they're mountain people.
Yes. Yeah. So that also comes into play, which is what is taught to us from our Hawaiian kupuna too, that it's very place specific. They're like,
Right.
and so people will ask on my IG, like they'll DM like, oh, if it's a Lono moon today, is it Lono moon in Ka'u? And I'm like, oh yeah, actually, because we're in Hawaii. So it's like pretty much the same. But I never make anybody feel bad.
That's so cute. Just double checking.
Yeah, no, and it's cute. No, because it's part of the learning, right?
Yeah.
The learning process, and actually the children I get to teach are the best, because they start
probably
to really
have the best questions.
Oh, it's really fun, and then they start talking to their parents, about it, and so yeah, so it's like a safe way, a safe way for you to start to learn, because each moon phase has a Hawaiian name. And that's where you can start. You can learn about the moon phase names, and then you can just look at
Why it's named that.
Yeah, what does that word mean? And then that gives you a clue about what's happening in that moon phase. Yeah.
What's one, I'm sure you have tons of these, but what's one story that you've experienced that has direct relation to the moon? Something that happened in your life or something that you heard of what happened in somebody else's life that was like tied to the moon?
So I wasn't going to bring this up, but something's telling me to talk about it. So that moon kulu means to drip, to drop like rain. It means to fall. Yeah. And when we started to really get into it, we would shy away from those not good things, you know, because I think because I'm a woman, you know, like you try not to, you know, you try to be all nice, you know. So one day I was actually working in downtown with this contract, and I would catch the bus into downtown because I never liked to park here. And then I caught the bus. It was super early in the morning, and I got off the bus on Bishop Street, and there was all these people like by, and there were cop cars, everything right by Executive Center. And so, but I had to walk that way anyway. So I'm like, okay, I gotta go that way. So got off the bus and I'm walking towards it. And as I get to Executive Center, everybody's looking up. So I look up, and there was this young boy. He was like maybe 20 years old, maybe. And he was gonna jump. And there's two cops up there, and they're like gonna catch him. It was like everybody's like holding their breath, right?
Yeah.
Because like you know, they're telling him, come on, you know, like they're trying their best, these cops. I was like, wow, you know, like, and as he tried to step off, the female cop just like, you know, I think it's a mother thing, right? Like just like jumped and like grabbed him back.
Wow.
And like, and everybody went, oh, like it was like this collective sigh.
That's heavy.
And,
Holy smokes.
And it was Kulu Moon. And so I walked away from there, going to my thing, and I called my co-founder and I told her, okay, we cannot shy away from this already, because we know that Kulu is one of the moons that suicides happen. And so that's why it's a big message from us at Ka Mahina Project on Kulu to reach out to those that you haven't talked to in a while, or maybe you have been noticing like drawback, you know, gather people on that mahina because it feels uncomfortable. And since then, there's been a number of stories that come to us, and it's always Kulu.
That's powerful.
That these suicides happen.
Just even the visual when you're saying, what moon is it that you want to ascend? Then when you're hiking, Ku. But then this moon, when like that visual of like drip, and then to have somebody like thinking about jumping.
Yes. Or
like,
taking their life.
Yeah. That like it's almost like pulling them down.
Yes, exactly. So that's that's one of the major things, you know, and why I personally feel this is kuleana, to share the knowledge that we find from the data we collect, because it's not my knowledge, and it's coming through us, and it's supposed to go out so that others can help and guide them in their lives, to not only guide themselves but guide others. That's the bigger message.
Powerful. Well, thank you for responding to the kahea and doing that work. And I think I love watching you, because I like love seeing people in their power. Like this is a thing that you're meant to be doing, and I love seeing people do that. You know, I'm sure stepping out and doing something new is not comfortable. I mean, that's actually your moon, so you're comfortable doing that. But for a lot of people, you know, even if you feel the pull to do something, there's a lot of reasons why people don't. So I just love that you're in your power, doing the thing that you're meant to do. So thank you for doing that, because I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that need that and want that knowledge. So
yeah, and there's actually many mahina companies or like businesses and stuff, and all of us are different, and that's what I love about it. The more people we can have doing more mahina stuff, the more that kind of stuff can come out, you know?
Yeah, and it's just natural.
Yeah,
it's just
so like
people just know, oh, what kind of moon is it? Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, so all of them, you know, those that you find others, you know, follow them, because the the more knowledge you can gather, the better. And there's only one of us. You know what I mean? It's like I feel like there should be more going and stuff. And so that's really cool. So one of the things also is that we're going to start our Hina circles, which is another thing where people virtually gather for an hour a week.
Okay.
And we actually go through not only learning about the moon phases, but we learn about Hina stories. And so in our Hawaiian culture, we have that balance between Hina and Ku, and and the Hina stories, and usually there's a Ku in there, right? But we look at the Hina stories and we gather and learn from that as well with Hawaiian culture, Hawaiian values, and it helps people. So we usually do like an 8-week run of that, and people really benefit, and it's been cool because it's been international. We get people from all over.
That's really cool, and even if Hawaiians who've moved outside of Hawaii want to reconnect back, because now we know more than half of us are outside of Hawaii. So
yes, and
that's great.
And the great thing is, I live right now. I'm very fortunate to live in the Nanakuli community, and at the Nanakuli Learning Center under Kamehameha Schools, we do in person.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that's been really great to
do you do it like in the evening when you're looking at the moon?
Yeah, we do it in the evenings because people gotta work and stuff like that. But we gather in the evenings for a little more than an hour though, and we go through the moon phases. And then if the moon is out, we go and watch it rise, or we look at where it's positioned, and we look at the shape, because part of the whole thing is getting your eye ma'a. When you look at the moon, you know what name it is. Like,
wow.
Right? Ovai oi.
Just by looking at it.
Yeah, so you can get that, and it becomes a na'o thing too, right? You're like, oh, I really feel it's this mahina.
Awesome. I want to talk about another thing that you're working on, and we kind of touched on, Hawaii people, or not even Hawaiians, but Hawaii people, like living outside of Hawaii, and something that you're working on to kind of bring them back.
Yes, so Ka Mahina Project has been branching out to do, well, we actually always did, because we felt that, my co-founder and I felt that this project was actually more for people not in Hawaii or not necessarily in the Hawaiian community. That's what this was actually created for. And because she actually felt like she wasn't really part of the Hawaiian community, even though she
lived on Molokai and
well, she's actually from Oahu, but her mom is from Molokai, and so she moved anyway between both. But she really felt this whole pull for people who are not directly in the circles of the Hawaiian community, you know. And so what we've been doing is we partner with Ku Project, Daniel Aipa.
Love him. He's been on this podcast.
Yeah, and his middle name is Mahina.
That's right.
Yes, yeah. So I call him Mahina. And so Ku Project and other things, and we've created a thing called Brown Heart Productions. So, the brown heart emoji kind of thing. So Brown Heart Productions has been created to brown out Hawaii again, really. And part of it is working with the diaspora. So we already have seen like how the census says there's way more Native Hawaiians outside of Hawaii, which means there are way more Hawaii people, right?
Yeah.
Like
right.
Ka Mahina, and people that just love and are connected to Hawaii outside of Hawaii.
Right.
And so we are intentfully going out to engage them to actually also eventually 2 years from now invite them home.
That's so cool. So we're going to do it in Waikiki.
Yes, in Waikiki. We're gonna brown out Waikiki with all these brown hearts, And so we are starting in Seattle. And so it's called Lava Kupono Oi Seattle, based off of Ku Project's Lava Kupono Oi, you are enough. Right?
I love that.
And that's what the Mahina does too, right? It reminds you that you are more than enough. You are worthy. You are magic, right? You are you.
I love that. You're magic.
Yeah. And so that's the big push. If you're in Seattle or you're around, you can come, it's totally going to be awesome. We're going to do Hawaiian cultural programming. We're going to have panels. We're going to have some music and everything. And we're also hoping to engage our Polynesian cousins,
Yeah, there's a lot of those up there too.
Yeah.
That's really cool because Seattle has a lot of Hawaii people, a lot of Polynesians up there. And there are like Hawaii festivals, but I like that you're bringing the cultural aspect of it too. Like you're doing workshops, you're having like doing moon stuff. We're doing
Yeah.
hometown legends. It's not just like a big party. It's like they're actually going to be able to learn stuff too.
Yeah, so have experiences. We're working with the canoe club there, as well as the civic club, as well as we're working to do ku'i with Kalo, because they're Seattle Poi company. Yes, and we're it's kind of cool. We want to have that discussion.
Yeah.
We want to have that discussion about, like, it doesn't matter that you're not physically in Hawaii, you're still part of Hawaii. You know, our lahui of our kingdom was not made up of only Native Hawaiians. That's what, you know, people need to remember, that it wasn't only Native Hawaiians, and that the lahui is not constricted by the physical islands that we live on. That doesn't make sense. We're voyagers.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense. And so it doesn't matter, because our lahui can span the whole world, and it should, like we saw with the Malama Honua voyage. Right? So it's not... to have that mentality that you're not enough because you don't live on Hawaii is something that we want to extinguish. We don't want to have in anyone's mind.
I love that. I love that mission, but I know that it is a thing that people feel guilty about or bad about who aren't living in Hawaii. I know it's like a real thing, because even my childhood best friend, her dad is half Hawaiian. He's the most Hawaiian person I've ever met. He just is the way he lives is very Hawaiian. But he's in Seattle now, and my friends, like, my kids have never been on Hawaii soil, and she feels guilt about that. And she's just like, it's just so expensive. I have so many kids, and I mean, it's a real thing, that feeling of disconnect.
Yeah, and we totally understand that. And that's why having these Lava Kupono Oi series that we're going to go. So we're going to go to Seattle, LA, Las Vegas to start. And then Portland, Oregon, and Washington. So one of it, but we have to go to Texas, because there's these identified spots, right? But then I don't want to forget the East Coast, you know, because East Coast get plenty, you know, and
they're everywhere.
And then Alaska is the other one that we're looking
sure.
at, because Alaska has big ties, and so it's just connecting, you know. What we're working on is just connecting in all different ways, but have these really specific cultural practices that can be shared and continued in those spaces by the people there. We're gonna have authentic experiences that will tell them, okay, we're gonna brown heart Waikiki in this date. Make sure you guys come home, and then
what was
allow
the idea behind that? I mean, the vision of having all these people who have moved away to come back home and be together, all together, like at one time. What was that? Where'd that come from?
Well, honestly, it comes from, because working at the Bishop Museum, I look at other cultures, right? So Okinawa does that.
Oh.
Every 5 years, they call back
That's right.
all Okinawans, and it's a come home festival. And I thought in my mind from long time ago, I'm like, we gotta have a come home Hawaii. Like, why don't we have that? And I feel right now, because of that diaspora conversation has been on everybody's mind, that this is the time, come home. And like I said, it doesn't matter if you're Native Hawaiian. It's actually more of a kuleana if you're Native Hawaiian in many ways, for you to come home, even if it's for a little bit. And so in that time, we'll have curated opportunities, right, for people to connect with Aina, to do some really major things, right, that will help our community on Oahu. And we're not going to stop in Waikiki, right? But my whole vision too, right, is can you imagine all of these people waking up one morning, right, and having a sunrise, ealae, you know, moment, right? Even though the sun doesn't rise on that side, but just having that whole experience, and you have the whole beach, right, with all of these people, and their whole mentality is this, you know, connection back to Aina. Oh my gosh. I mean,
Well, and even just like the symbolism of being in Waikiki, because Waikiki is the place that has been taken, or it's such a tourist place. And,
right.
But it wasn't always like that. And so the whole idea of like taking that back too,
Yes.
that's really cool.
Yes, because of the tourism talk, right? We have all this tourism talking right now with the economy and everything. And one of the things is that we really haven't measured what is the part of the tourism that is people coming home, you know, for visits and stuff.
That's true.
Right. And so it's like we complain about these tourists that ride on whales and all that kind of stuff, right? But like, why don't we focus on who's coming?
Yeah.
right? And grow those parts of our population coming to Hawaii, grow those parts that we want to come home. How about we focus on those people, having specials towards those people, and having them have an easy time to connect back to Aina, because many of them don't have family that they can come back to, because many times, because we Hawaii people, right? You
We all
move,
Yeah.
everybody move together, right? So it's not like they don't have that opportunity.
There's not really a reason.
To come home, right? But it's still home,
Yeah.
and it will always be part of them. And so like have that opportunity, reconnect, and just have it. And if you don't want to, that's okay too, you know. But know that there's an opportunity.
And that's, you're planning it for 2 years from now?
2 years from
Okay,
now.
so start saving your miles, shopping for flights for your family.
Right. So
So-
we've been working. I've been talking to different hotels and stuff like that to just start
So
the whole thing. Once we get the date set, then we can really push it, because then people can save and all that kind of stuff. And what we're hoping to do is really make some really great Aina, initiatives where people we can really we can earth bend. I don't know if you know what I mean. We can earth bend. We can water bend. We can really clean up places. We can build things. Because if we can get that much people, oh my gosh, right? We can make big differences that can shift, right? Just certain things in our community that we're like, oh, there's not enough people to do this, or there's not, not
Beautiful.
the right time.
I can't wait for that.
Yeah.
It's possible. I mean, Okinawa does it.
Right.
And we can do it.
Yeah, and then make it a yearly or
Yeah.
a bi-yearly. I don't know what to call it, but
Bi-yearly.
biannual.
Biannual.
Biannual. I don't know.
Yeah, that's right.
We make up words.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so besides Ka Mahina Project, Brown Heart, is there anything else? What do you do on your fun time? What do you do for fun?
Oh my gosh, what don't I do for fun, right? Actually, one of the biggest things is I like to travel. And it was because I was really fortunate being from Hilo. We never travel, right? I didn't grow up with that kind of thing happening, only Vegas. Yeah, my parents would go.
Vegas.
But at the Bishop Museum, I had got to travel. They sent me all over, and it kind of piqued that bug. And so I really enjoy going to different places. But when I go to a place, I always like to connect with the native people, or do some kind of project, or do something, because that's really malama. When we talk about malama Hawaii, malama is, we don't just do malama like pick up rubbish on the beach. We malama all the time, meaning whatever we do, there's always an aspect of malama. And so when I go to a place, I want to participate in helping malama that place.
Yeah.
People ask, I'm fortunate too that I get to do some things for tourism stuff. And when we've gone on most recent kind of things, they ask us, because the whole push is malama Hawaii, right? They're like, well, how do we malama? And we're like, start with your backyard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Simple.
Don't just come to Hawaii and malama. No, wherever you are, do something to malama the place that you live in.
Yeah.
Because that's what it's about. It's not about just coming to Hawaii and malama.
Yeah.
And so I like to travel. I like to learn about other people. I like to have conversations like this. This is really
Yeah.
fun for me. So mahalo.
What's been your favorite destination that you visited?
Honestly, I really like the East Coast.
Oh, really? I've never heard that. Of all the places that you've traveled, you like the East Coast. Why?
I really like the East Coast. I think the people are so interesting. They're so different from us.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's so much commonality. It's also super different because I've always traveled in snow. And so when it's snowing, and so it's kind of cool, right? Because you get to go for snow for a weekend and you come home.
Yeah, warm up.
Yeah, so I like the whole historical aspect, not the actual history of the creation of America, but just the first candy store, the first this, the first that.
That's true.
And it's neat because it's so different,
The architecture is
Yeah, the
different.
architecture, and then the smell. I don't know, I'm real attracted. But my second place is Alaska.
Oh, beautiful.
Because I've been to Barrow, to Point Hope, to Tlingit Nation. Alaska is so interesting because that's another one, right? All kinds of different animals and like I got to see a beluga. Like, I mean, you know, like
A beluga?
I got to
just
see the
randomly?
yeah, like a Cook Inlet beluga pod,
really?
which is really hard to find because in the ice age they got separated. So the other belugas are up, and they're the only beluga pod that is in the Cook Inlet, which is like south-ish.
No way.
And my friend and I were driving.
You just fish?
We were going. My friend who I was with, who was UPIC, she was like, "You need to come on a road trip because you're from Hawaii." And I was like, "Okay, but I'm also from the Big Island. I understand what a road trip is."
Couple days around the Big Island.
Right, you know, I'm like, I get it. But he's all like, so we were going on Southeast Alaska, and we were literally starting our road trip because he lives in Anchorage, and we're going to go onto the ferry. And when you have to go around the Cook Inlet, and I was talking to him like, well, what do beluga really look like? Da, 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 da. And he goes, they're right there. And then,
No way.
Yep. And we stopped on the side, and I was doing my beluga dance. Because I was like, look, we got to see the belugas. And he was just like, just with you, only with you Hawaiians.
It's because
that's
you're
why.
Hina,
I was
and
like,
you're drawing them in.
no, it's because we're Hawaiian. I was just like, because Hawaiians bring it. I was like,
Oh, that's so cool.
so
No,
fun.
Alaska is beautiful.
yeah.
And the people there are awesome. They remind me of Hawaii people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun too. And
Yeah.
the smell. I always smell. It's really interesting. I have this like
smell,
smell thing of like places I visit. I can smell it. When I think about it, I can smell it.
That's your scent, your strong sense. Yeah. I mean, it smells like the outdoors. It's just
Fresh.
fresh. Yeah. Even in
Yeah.
the middle of summer, it's so fresh.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to go back there. It's good times.
Take
Have
the-
you ever gone fishing?
Well, I got to actually stay in the bush.
What does that mean?
I mean, like we camped like off
Stay in
of.
the bush.
That's what they call it. They call it in the bush. I know it sounds so bad.
Like, do we want to know what you did?
But we camped at this dog point camp in Sitka, Alaska.
Oh, okay.
And we had to it was almost subsistence lifestyle a little bit.
Oh.
Yeah. So I didn't necessarily
Sitka.
fish myself, but I had to bring in the fish, prepare it.
Yeah.
We went on like these hikes and almost died. It was really great.
Did you run into moose?
Yeah, well, I got to see some moose kind of up close, actually, but they're kind of scary. But I didn't feel scared.
They're huge.
I've seen bears really close, too.
Wow.
But it's something about, well, I was playing my ukulele.
And they're drawn
And the
to
bear,
it.
came walking by. And my friend's like, don't stop playing. I'm like, I'm not.
Just starts dancing.
But that in that specific trip, they caught a deer and stuff like that, and so doing stuff like that, like on that hike, it's just so collecting, right, foraging for berries and all that.
Wow.
So, yeah, being able to experience that with some other natives,
Yeah.
I feel like really emphasizes how much we did at home too. And that's one of the things that I hope we can also instill with others is that, connect with your natives, the natives of the place. Because when you learn about that place, it actually makes you learn about yourself, right?
Yeah. It's one of the stories that I'm just thinking about is, about Hometown Legends, but there is a girl that came out and watched it. She was a filmmaker, and she, after the film, she came up and talked to me, and she was like, you know what? I'm a filmmaker that lives on the East Coast, but my family is from Peru. And she's like, after watching your film, I feel like I need to go back to Peru and tell stories about my people. And I was like, that is the ultimate compliment.
Yes.
That's so powerful because it just made her curious about her place and her people. And she's like, I can make changes by the thing that I do, which is filmmaking. So,
Right, the inspiration. Yes, definitely.
So yeah, I totally see that. And it's like, the more you dig into culture, the more you really dig into yourself. So
Yeah, it's beautiful.
it is. Well, thank you for being here. I know you're a busy lady, so I don't want to keep you, but tell us or tell the viewers how to find you and how to get involved in your Hina circle, get involved with Brown Heart.
Yeah, so we have kamahinaproject.com as well as the IG. Follow us on IG, Ka Mahina Project. That's the one that's the most always updated. We get a lot of, you can direct message me through that really easily. That's the one that I really follow. I know we're supposed to do all the other stuff, but I'm like, I can't
Are you on
focus on
TikTok?
one. No, well, we are, but I'm not good at it. Like, I gotta
Same.
just
I'm
do
the
it.
same.
I know, and I'm just like, it's because I'm a little older. I only can do one thing.
I know my brain only works like I can do this one, and somebody else please repost it.
Yeah, exactly. Right. But especially the IG, because I make sure every day you know what moon phase it is. And then there's usually a recording or something that tells you something specific about that one. And it's always updated, meaning that I update what we say because it does change, just like nature.
I love it.
Yeah.
I could talk to you forever about the moon, but thank you so much.
No, mahalo.
Please follow, because it is every day. It's like a daily inspiration. Like, okay, it just kind of sets the tone of the day, and I love it.
Yes.
Awesome. All right. Well, follow Hi'i, follow us. Thank you for joining. Aloha.